folks there. And then here, we're going to pretend, panelists, that this is another audience member because this is our camera. So when you look that way, you're looking at our audience online. So, okay, so the topic today is fraud. I think I said fraud, who can I trust or something to that. You're a fraud, who can I trust to help me? There we go, the official title. This is a big crowd because it's always a popular topic, and I'm sure we'll have more join us online too. If you are online, you can raise your hand or type your questions in the chat box. We'll ask our panelists live. We have our sponsors to your right, my left, and as always, we could not do that without them. And we're missing our featured sponsor was Security Title, and they're not here. I don't know what happened, but we've got all the other crew here. And BrightstarCare, perfect timing, is a sponsor as well. They're bringing in pastries, so feel free to hop up. I know that they weren't here when you came in, but feel free to hop up if you're here live and grab something. Restrooms are out the door to your left. So, and without further ado, we're going to start introducing our panelists. You've got a mic. There's no speaking order. Just, I told you this is a very forgiving audience. Although I did tell them that we have some officials here from the IRS and the sheriff. So they got these ladies back in the back. I told them they have to be on their best behavior or else they'll get in trouble. So go ahead and introduce yourself and say where you're from and maybe your area of expertise. And then we'll go from there.
Okay, good morning. My name is Nancy Moore, and I'm with a program called Senior Medicare Patrol, or SMP. Everybody uses initials, and we're federally funded. Every state has one to prevent Medicare fraud. Medicare fraud's a big, huge problem. 90 billion a year, it's estimated. So we all should care, even if you're not on Medicare yet. We need to, some of it's improper payments, and I'll go into that. But we are here, we cover the state of Indiana, and love to talk to you more if you've experienced any kind of Medicare fraud.
I'm Kate McKnight. I work with the Internal Revenue Service. You may have heard of our organization, deal with them every now and again. But anyway, I'm with the Internal Revenue Service out of Indianapolis. I work with organizations throughout the whole state of Indiana. And obviously we work with a lot of folks on tax fraud issues, but also other scams that people are seeing that we're going to talk about a little bit more in detail. But just want to let you know, we have a great website if you're ever interested in it. It's www, and really hard to remember, IRS dot and then gov, G-O-V, because we are part of the federal government. So I'm going to pass it on to Kathy.
Good morning, everyone. My name is Kathy Woliung. I'm a U.S. Postal Inspector. I'm located here in Indianapolis. I've been an inspector since 2019. A lot of people don't know who we are. We are 2019. I've been in 19 years, 2003. Sorry about that. Don't know who we are. We are the law enforcement division of the post office, investigate numerous federal statutes that apply to our postal customers, the post office, as well as our employees. Most of my career, I've been involved with fraud investigations, money laundering, so mostly white collar investigations. I am a certified fraud examiner and an anti-money laundering specialist. And I think that's about it. I mean, the inspection service, you can go to uspis.gov for additional information, and I did give some handouts with our information on it as well.
My name's Dustin, Dixon. I'm a lieutenant at the Hamilton County Sheriff's Office, and then I supervise our investigations division. So if you live in Hamilton County, basically get the case reports every day and see what kind of reports are coming in from patrol. You can sign them out to detectives based on follow up for the case or things like that. There's some pamphlets that I brought in regards to identity theft and fraud. Things like that. Obviously on the website too. It's on the pamphlets, but if you're not here, it's just hamiltoncounty.in.gov, and all the county offices are on there.
That's great. And I was going to tell for our sponsors, those of you that are tech savvy, some of you are, feel free to share our video on social media, and hopefully we get even more viewership. And what we're going to do is go through the questions. If you're there online. Yeah. Okay. Thank you, Sarah. If you're there online, a lot of the handouts are on a Google Drive that Sarah has shared in the chat box. And then there are some that our panelists have brought that you may not have. And if you're interested in having those, we would be happy to mail them to you. You just need to let us know in the chat box or email us later after the event. But we do have some really good handouts that our panelists brought. And so we'll ask the questions, give space for questions about what they've just talked about. And then at the end, we'll go for general questions too. So, all right. So we introduced ourselves. Okay. So what are common frauds that you see targeting seniors specifically?
Well, in the Medicare arena, all the frauds pretty much happen by phone or sometimes in person, but the phone is not your friend, I say, because they can impersonate the phone number, spoof the phone number to look like it's coming from a legitimate organization. Oftentimes with Medicare fraud, they call it imposter scam because they make you think they're from Medicare. And one of the ones that is going around right now, in fact, Kara Kenny had a piece on it about a month ago. It's a new Medicare card with a chip in it. That is a scam. There's no new Medicare card. You got one about 4 years ago. That's it. They're not making it plastic laminate, which would be nice.
Series and habits. Sorry.
There's no chip in it. So he was savvy enough not to give out his number, but the more you engage with these people, the more you're going to get on another list. So the best thing to do is just hang up. But the Medicare number is really valuable. I read an AARP piece that said your Social Security number is only worth $1, but your Facebook account is worth like $35. So, and Medicare, they can actually bill, you'll end up with a back brace or knee brace or 15 braces if you give out your number to, what you think is a legitimate Medicare. But Medicare doesn't call you, just like, typically, unless you're in conversation with them, they're not going to call you. So,
Okay.
People who scam folks related to tax, like your tax filing, etc., or tax scamming, they are equal opportunity scammers. So it doesn't matter if you're a senior, if you're in high school, or if you're in college, or you're a business or whatever, they just really don't care. They just want to get your money or get money from you that belongs to you. So like I said, they're an equal opportunity place to get your money taken, really. From a tax fraud standpoint, what happens is that many people don't even know they're a victim until they file their tax return. Because most people, I don't know about you all, but most people file electronically when they file their tax returns. So even if you don't do your own tax return, you may have somebody prepare your return for you. So you electronically file it. When you electronically file your return, you should get a response saying your return has been accepted, and then we're going to process it, send you your refund, or you send us money if you owe us, right? Well, what will happen is if you've been a victim of identity theft, or you've been a victim of tax fraud, tax-related fraud, you will get a message back saying that your return has already been filed for you with, your name on it. And that's how you'll find out that you're a victim. And I teach a class at Butler University. The professor who's head of the business department there, the first year, he's been there for maybe 10 to 13 years now. The first year he was at Butler, he found out he was a victim of identity theft when he filed his return. So it's not that you've done anything wrong. It's not that you don't know what you're doing. It's just people have the opportunity to steal your identity. And just basic information, as Nancy was saying, is that I'm sure we heard from Kathy and Dustin, it's easy. You know, if you can spend $1 on the dark web to get a social security number, and if you get information on your Facebook page, you know, you can go to town. So what we always tell people is that, you know, if you find you're a victim of identity theft, you need to contact the Internal Revenue Service, either through our website. It's very difficult to get through on the phones, let me know. Let me just tell you. So it's very difficult to get through on the phones, but you need to let the Internal Revenue Service know, because we have something called an identity protection PIN number that we can issue to you. It's I think it's a 5 or 6 digit number that will be assigned to you specifically, so that when you do file your return, you have to put your PIN number on it every year, so that we know that you're who you say you are. Once you have this PIN, you put it on your return, it will go through and nobody should be able to steal from, steal anything related to your tax information. So there are a lot of people that are going into the Internal Revenue Service's website and requesting one of these identity protection PINs for themselves. There are a lot of people, like if you have children, adult children with grandchildren, a lot of people are also getting identity protection PIN numbers for their children and grandchildren, depending on where you live, in terms of if they reside with you, just so you can protect their identity as well, because it's just like your identity can be stolen, others can.
So you can get a PIN even if you haven't been, your identity hasn't been
Yes, there
stolen.
are two different kinds of ways you can get a PIN number. You can either be the victim of identity theft. You call us and you say, hey, my identity's been stolen. I haven't filed my tax return. We'll have you fill out what's called an identity theft affidavit that you give us so you can prove who you are. We'll send you the PIN number. You can do that. Or you can get what we call an opt-in PIN number, where you can actually request it even though you've not had any issues with identity theft. It's just an additional layer of protection, but you will have to use that number for every return that you file. And I just want to say one other thing. We love at the IRS to talk to people. We do. And we're not all bad people. It's just that it's difficult for people to get through to us, right? So we are not going to reach out and call you. We will not text you. We will not IM you. We will not do anything like that. We are normally old school. We will send you letters through the mail so that you'll know what's going on. And then if you are working with us, there might be a reason we would call you, but we are never going to ask you to give us gift cards. What do you think we're going to, it's not like they give me gift cards, they don't do anything like that. So, thank you.
All right. So I would say we receive numerous calls weekly on different scams targeting, and I think it was mentioned earlier, it's not just seniors, it's every demographic. Everyone can be a victim of fraud. Age, demographic, education level, it doesn't matter. But what we see and what I've been seeing, the grant scam is going around right now. So calls coming in that you've qualified for a grant. You don't have to pay the money back. We just need you to wire us money, send us a check, or send the gift cards. All of those should be red flags. I've dealt with this, I don't know, maybe 3 times in the last couple of weeks, trying to help people get their money back that they've sent through the mail. So that's one. The other one is lottery and sweepstakes. That's been around my entire career. There's legitimate lotteries. We know the Indiana lottery, Powerball, state lotteries. If you didn't buy something to be in the lottery, I don't know how you can win the lottery. So just remember that. I think the main thing, and I'll get into this later, but just stop and verify, stop and slow down. Don't let them pressure you on the phone when they call you. A lot of even though mail is involved in a lot of these scams, they usually start over the telephone, email, or a text link. So just stop, slow down, think about it, discuss it with a friend, discuss it with a family member, just to walk yourself through it. As she said, Kate said, what legitimate business wants you to pay in gift cards? We know that's this kind of insane thing.
Yeah.
But they convince people to do that, vulnerable people to do that. You know, I got a call this weekend from a friend, and I mean, we're in our 50s, but he called and said there's a really good deal on, I think it was Facebook Marketplace, $800 concert tickets, but they're selling them for $150. And he's like, is it legit? Well, I don't know 100%, but I can tell you 99.9% is fraud. And I'm like, go for it if you got $150 to lose, but I don't have $150 to lose. So I wouldn't be buying the tickets. So, I mean, we just have to stop, slow down, think about it. And then the other one is money mule activity. And I did hand out a flyer on that, but it's basically where people have exhausted all their assets and financial, their money. And then the scammers continue to call them and want them to be the intermediary to receive other victims' money and then send that money on to them, whether it be through wire or mail. This is super common. We do an initiative every year with other federal agencies to go out and do knock and talks, talk to the individuals involved. The bad thing is you become involved in the money mule activity, whether you're a witting participant or an unwitting participant, you can still be criminally charged. So we'll go out and we'll give a courtesy talk initially. And then if you continue to participate, then that's when we present it to the U.S. Attorney's Office. So that's something to be aware of too. They continue to victimize people over and over and over, even when they've taken everything they have from you. And I have a lady locally who, I think it was around $300,000 she lost. She lost her home. She exhausted every savings she had for retirement. And now she's living in a very low income housing development because she has nothing. And they are continuing to call her. And even if they can get some of her Social Security benefits every month, they will do that. They have accessed her checking account because she has trusted them and given them her account numbers. So it's, and it's someone like if you spoke to them, you would not think they would have fallen victim. So it's a very sad situation. And as I said, anyone can become a victim.
Can I ask a question?
Yes.
Is there anything you can do about it? So you know, a lot of these fraud actors come through the mail.
So yeah, so
Just for our online audience, the question was about junk mail. We had an audience question. What can we do about junk mail?
so we don't call it junk mail, we call it revenue. On a side note, yes, and I will send information to them. There's a couple websites that you can go to opt out. I didn't bring that information with me today, but I will share it to get it to all of you. I have a great handout I should have brought with that on it. But there are two ways. I've done it myself. I think one, it lasts for 5 years, which is pre-approved credit card offers and insurance offers. You pay like $5 for the 5 years. My mail, I get almost nothing except like a weekly advertisement flyer through our local company where I live. So it has helped tremendously, but I will get that information.
Okay,
I just don't remember the name of it.
Second question is, some of this junk mail solicits for speed.
Yes.
Speed.
Yeah, so it really depends. We conduct investigations, we'll see where it leads us. A lot of the times the fraudsters are located outside the country. So that means that we have to partner with other agencies outside the country. We do have partnerships. We are in the Netherlands. We have an office there. We do partner with Europe and West Africa, which is a hotbed of fraud. Jamaica is another hotbed of fraud. but we partner with them to see if we can stop it. Sometimes Utah, actually Nevada, they use PO boxes there. I think it's just easier to start companies there and to get away with things. But we do conduct the investigations. If you have something that you feel like is something that needs attention, you can bring it to the inspection service, you can mail it to us, or you can take it to your local post office and tell them this is a scam, can you get it to an inspector? And they have a way to get it to us.
Okay. You're next, last but not least.
I don't have a whole lot to add. Some of the things I guess we're seeing at the local level, they've all mentioned gift cards. That's a hot topic now. Normally, if you pay with a gift card, it becomes virtually untraceable. Excuse me. So they'll want you to pay with Google Plays, a very popular one. Once you go buy these gift cards and give them the numbers, basically takes it out of our hand because we can't recover it like we can a credit card or some banking things. So there's no legitimate business, company, organizations can ask you to pay with a gift card. Don't keep people on the line while they drive to a store to buy gift cards. I mean, we had someone, a younger person in their 20s, on the phone for an hour and a half that drove from Carmel to get gift cards. They actually drove to the sheriff's office, gave them the numbers, and then after they hung up, came inside the sheriff's office. So anytime they ask you to pay with a gift card, I would hang up. We also think we're seeing locally, there's some organized groups that'll break into your vehicle. If you go to the park to walk, decide to eat somewhere like that, and steal credit card. And typically, by the time you get back to your car, they've already taken your credit card to Target, Kroger, whatever is close. They'll go to the closest place that sells gift cards, and they will use your credit card or bank card to buy gift cards. And like I said, normally that's done by the time you even realize your car's been broken into. It's 15, 20 minutes. They've already burned up $2,000 on your credit card. So if you're going somewhere, if you don't have to carry multiple credit cards with you, if it's a card you use at Menards or Lowe's and you're not going, I would only take the card you need with you. If you're going to go to a park, you're going to go to an event or something like that, because that's less cards that have the potential to be stolen. And really, we say lock your car, but they'll smash your window and be in your car within seconds. So it's very common, especially down here closer to Indianapolis. We'll get photos of them at the grocery store, but with everyone wearing masks now, it's kind of acceptable to wear a mask in stores now. So we don't always get a great picture of them. And then the only other, two other things, if a family member calls you asking for money, or has an intermediary call and ask for money, your grandson's probably out in a Mexican jail, probably doesn't need bond. We are not going to call. They will use our actual name. They will spoof a number for the sheriff's office and say it's us. You missed court, you missed jury duty. We do not do that. If you commit a criminal offense and you have an arrest warrant, we will show up at your house to do the arrest warrant. We don't have a whole lot of folks from your demographic that do that. But we are not going to call you and tell you you owe money, your jury scam, you pay to get out of it. Anything like that, even with a legitimate name, is not factual. And then the last thing, just because we had this last week, my mother is your age. My mother was widowed about 10 years ago and has ventured into the arena of online dating. We had a lady that was online dating a guy that was supposedly special forces, out of town in the military. If you watch the X-Files, he sent a picture of Agent Holder and said that's his, that was his ID. He couldn't tell her where he was at because it was top secret classified. But this lady gave him $70,000 over the course of about 2 weeks on the promise that he was deployed. He needed money. As soon as he got back from deployment, he'd repay her. That's obviously a scam. So if you are in the dating pool or online dating, just be careful about the people you deal with. If they are asking for money, whether they are real people or not, probably not the person you want to get into a dating relationship with if they're already hitting you up for money. My mom dated some legitimate people that we had to educate her a little bit. So just be careful when you're on the dating sites or things like that, because they will use that to get money. And it's, like I said, it's not $500. We've seen several that are $20, $30, $40, $60,000 over the course of a week or two. So.
Yeah, I'm glad you brought up the online dating thing. There's There was a documentary on Netflix. There's a couple, something Swindler, Tinder Swindler. Yeah. And so, yeah, I'm glad you brought that up. Yes, sir.
You mentioned that.
The question was about parking lot car break-ins.
We try to at times, but just to be honest with you, Hamilton County is divided up into 4 patrol districts. That's typically 1 deputy per district. So the calls of service they have, things like that, it's hard to be in those places all the time. The parks have a very good camera system. But 9 times out of 10, they have a rental car. They will either take the plate off the rental car, or you can go buy the temporary tags, like when you buy a new car. There's the same tag number on about, I think we've counted 30 vehicles now, because they will make fake temporary tags. It's not a real tag, so they will put it on every car they have. So we can track the vehicle, but the vehicle is, like I said, it's 9 times out of 10 it's a rental car. The tag's always bad on it. The tag is never good. And then the people, we arrested one last week and had 5 different IDs on him. And we don't know who he is. You know, we don't know who's true identity. He's sitting in jail right now, but someone's going to bond him out, and then we're not going to see him again. I mean, he's going to disappear and go back to, this was a South American group. So we do try to do that, but unfortunately, we're not talking about little Johnny down the street. That's, you know, it's professional organizations. They will come up here. It's the felony lane gang's a big one that I'm sure they're familiar with. There's a South American theft group that's up here right now. They've hit Fishers and Carmel in the last week. So it's organized activity. It's not local gangbangers or something like that. It's organized groups that are making millions off this a year. And when they go to jail, they get bonded out and then they're gone. So,
Second question is, a lot of the new cars have this box.
Yeah.
I just wonder how big that is, how big that can be, is that these things are still in the car?
personally on car, it's fine. Dealerships are having issues, well, where they will test drive the car, they will go get the key cloned, and they'll come back at night, steal the car. But once you have the car, it's good. The problem is they'll break a window and get what they need out of the car and be gone in 15 seconds. So if the car is not locked, they can break a window and be out in 10 or 15 seconds before, you hear glass break, turn around, and they're going.
Mhm.
And there's normally a group of 2 or 3 of them, so it's not really something we'd recommend if you're by yourself and you try to confront them, because they're not gonna,
Do they actually steal the car? Just break in?
normally don't steal the car. No, the car itself is normally safe. It's just they steal the contents, and then typically they're out for your credit cards and cash.
There's
Because they'll
a
use this-
catalytic converter.
Yeah, those are big. They're more, we see those in the industrial areas, so we're, the U-Hauls, the fleet vehicles that will park overnight, they'll go and steal those catalytic converters. Because the price of the mineral's so high right now. There's a place in Edinburgh that typically is where they take them. The catalytic converter, it's not, there's not a VIN number or vehicle ID number on that, serial number, or anything like that, so you really can't trace what specific car it came from. The reputable places are supposed to get information from the person that brought that in. Unfortunately, they take it to the irreputable places to cash those in. Edinburgh, the Johnson County Sheriff's Office, they do a lot of stings down there, but so they could arrest 10, there'll be 10 more tomorrow. So the best area is park your car. If you can park it indoors, or park it if you're at Lowe's or a restaurant. Park as close to the building as you can, and that way there's a crowd that's constantly coming in or out. Don't park in the back 40 here and leave for 6 hours if you can. So,
One last question.
sure.
I saw on television where, because of the high price of gas, thieves are drilling into the gas tank and stealing the gas that way. You see any of that?
Weird. I've not.
So I will tell you, I am, and I'm not sure this is what it was, but I was at a gas station recently and I wasn't involved in this, but the gas was leaking out of the bottom of the, and they said it had been drilled. So they had to call hazmat
Wow.
local PD. So, but I don't know. I can't confirm that's how it happened. I can just tell you that's what I observed. So I wouldn't be surprised if it's not happening around here.
crazy. One thing I was just gonna say, one of you mentioned it, I think you did, Kathy, Kate. We have a Kathy and a Kate. I need to keep them straight. It's not stupid people that are getting taken. Like it could, a friend of mine is how I met, got contacted or connected with the U.S. Postal Service, but she is an FBI agent, and one of her neighbors, like very intelligent, white collar, just got taken. And by the time he reached out to her, it was too late. He lost his money. But you would never think like it could happen. Like I'm an intelligent person, I'm educated, but I mean, those are the people that it's happening to, right?
Right. They play on trust. They build trust with you. I've been in a home in the past where it was a romance scam, as we spoke about, a senior who I think the entire time I was there, maybe an hour trying to talk to him, I've been to the house probably 10 times, because what we see is repeat offenders, repeat victims who continue to believe the criminals over law enforcement. But the phone rang the entire time I was there. So they know they play on someone being lonely, someone being isolated. We come from, and I'm going to lump myself in the senior category because I'm retiring next year, but we trust. I mean, I don't, because I'm law enforcement, I don't trust some of my own family, but we come as a society, and we just trust people, and we believe that they're going to be honest and sincere and not take us and not steal from us. So that's why I think people become really vulnerable, because you believe what they're saying.
One thing you mentioned about the vulnerability piece, they will make you vulnerable if they don't think that you are. I had a call. I happened to be sitting right in front of my computer at home, and they said your power is going to be shut off for non-payment in 2 hours if you don't pay. And I'm like, what? Like, I have it on auto pay, like it's, the budget, whatever. So I pull up my account and I'm looking right at it. And I'm like, I'm looking at, but a piece of me, like in the, pit of my stomach, like I have 2 kids at home. It was like winter time, freezing, and I'm going to get my power turned off. It's like they made me vulnerable, and, but what I realized from that conversation, I just happened to be able to pull that up. I just kept asking questions, and then they kind of freaked out and went away. So
yeah, I mean, that's very good. And I always say, like, I think I alluded to it earlier. They play on emergencies. Like, this is an emergency. You have to send us money now. You have to get the gift card. You have to stay on the phone with us while you do it. And just realize the value on that card is that number on the back of the gift card. So once you, once you give them that number, I know there for a while, they were telling people to mail the cards after you got them, but they still call you and ask you for the numbers. Once they get that number, they wipe that money off immediately. But they do play on emergencies to make people, like you said, vulnerable.
Yeah, and it was funny, they said you have to go to 2 different places, like a Speedway gas station near me or a Dollar Tree near me. And I was like, let me get this straight. So I've been paying online for I don't know how many years, and you're telling me that I have to go to a Speedway gas station up the road to pay my electric bill right now? That doesn't sound right. And then they were like hung up, it's like, go ahead.
The other thing you can do, because they'll do that with Medicare too, they'll say you'll lose your Medicare program, which is real scary. But hang up, don't engage really, because that just puts you on a higher list. They get more money for your number because they make notes that, oh, this person engages. And I always say they can talk the chicken off the bone, At some point, you'll give them whatever they want. But one thing you could do is call, hang up,
Yeah,
call the
number back.
utility, call an area agency on aging, which is Sequoia here in this area. If it's about Medicare, they all have SHIP counselors. You could call me. I'll have my card in the back, but it just, yeah, they are good. They're con artists. They're, you know, they're
Professional.
professional and they follow the news, you know, so like if there's stuff going on, they tap into that. Maybe.
Oh, we lots of questions.
Yeah.
I saw your hand first, so and then we'll repeat it for the online audience.
I got a text message saying there was a problem with my credit card. So I called the bank. Of course, it was a scam. I wasn't gonna call the number they gave me.
Good. Smart, yeah.
Calling the number or like a lot of times the link.
Yeah.
Yeah, don't click the link, right?
So on the links, just so you know, you can hover over them, not click on them, but hover over them. It'll give you the real origin of that email. So you can see if it's legit or not legit.
Of the
But
email,
as-
but not a link in the text.
No, in an email.
Yeah.
But as said earlier, and I don't know where I was going with this, but yeah, I mean, yeah, I'm getting lost. So go ahead.
There's
There's
so
so
much,
much,
yeah.
yeah.
Okay, so I saw your hand and then yes, and then I know there was a question back there too. We'll go with you first, Miss Carol. Yeah.
I have an elderly neighbor that's so lonely, when her phone says spam risk, she will still pick it up and talk to them. I would like to suggest that you don't pick up your phone unless you know who's calling. If it's a friend, they'll call back or leave a message. But to pick up the phone and even engage in these people, I think is not a very smart idea because they do get wrapped up. I got a call that, you know, a deputy was gonna come to my house because I didn't go to court. So I said, well, please send a cute one.
I love it. That's beautiful.
Because I thought, this is stupid, you know? Sound like there's gonna be someone on your doorstep in 45 minutes.
Yeah.
you know?
Yeah.
I just want to say something to your question about like not picking up the phone unless you know, like you recognize the number. But you know, these spoofers are getting so sophisticated that the number that they're calling from can look like your children's cell phone number. It can look like your own number sometimes. It can look like anything. So even if you recognize the number, you still want to stay on guard because there have been some scams going on right now where people are calling, like if they know from Facebook, like example, me, I live here in Indiana. I have 2 daughters who live in DC. And one of these scams looked like the phone call was coming from the daughter's phone number. And it was a guy on the phone saying he'd escaped from prison. He had the daughter, he was going to kill her, but they needed to send money right away. And he just didn't want to go back to jail. Now, if you get that call at 1 a.m. in the morning, are you going to think about the fact that, yeah, this is exactly my daughter's phone number? But they are very sophisticated. So just please be careful.
Yeah, there's something with the location on our phones now that I think they pick up the numbers. And so like I had a test at St. Vincent and then that afternoon I got a call from, I know St. Vincent's number, that's bad, but I just did. So I picked it up. I normally don't. Well, it was this genetic testing scam, which is another big Medicare. And the expert at our national office said, oh yeah, they pick up your locations somehow, or maybe you can tell, somebody's smarter than me, I don't understand it.
Yes, they're very sophisticated. And I think because we don't know our own cell phone numbers a lot of times, but it looks familiar. So you're like, oh, yeah, I know this number. Yeah, I told one of you, I have just started, if I don't know the number, I don't answer it, which is, it puts us in an awkward situation because we're realtors. And the big joke is like, you could sell a whole bunch more real estate if you just answered your phone because most of the time realtors don't answer their phone. But I mean, just like we can't anymore because It never fails. It is always a scammer if I don't know the number. Yes, ma'am.
I got a couple of calls that had my husband's name, you know, and I looked at that and said, oh, I didn't know Heaven had a telephone number.
Nice. Wow. Okay. Phil.
I'm a retired mailman. I was in the post office 45 years. And I was wondering, you ma'am, are you helping these new carriers? How are you doing service talks with these guys, gals that are working there? That would help you guys to be aware of the scams.
Yes.
We used to have service talks years ago. And I helped catch two guys that were stealing Social Security checks out of mailboxes. And one of them pulled a gun on him. And I let him have it, or my bag, and I walked away, and a friend of mine owned a tavern down in on 29th and Hardy, and I went in there and called the postal inspector, and they caught the guy.
Right, so yes, we do. I mean, for the post office, we're in a unique situation in law enforcement, being with the post office and being one of their law enforcement branches. But we do provide information to our carriers and our retail clerks to be on the lookout for these scams. You know, so if they have a house that may be vacant, but they're getting a lot of financial credit cards or documents there that it doesn't make sense, they know to call us on that. Our retail associates, if someone's coming in weekly and they're mailing out, you know, it looks like cash, and they know it's a customer that has never been in there, you know, it's just out of their normal behavior pattern, they will call us and report that. So yes, we do work closely with our mail our employees, because they're very valuable to our intel.
We had a question here.
Is there any value to signing up with one of these credit bureaus? Not because you're interested in what your credit rating is, but they sell the service of keeping an eye open for
Like identity law firm.
Yeah, I highly recommend that. The only problem is make sure you write on your passwords and usernames, because you will need that to unlock it. What you're talking about is there are three main, well, there are lots of different credit service bureaus. The three main ones that you may have heard about are, great, my mind just went blank. Experian, Equifax, and TransUnion. Thank you. So with those three, you can actually go online, and you have different options when you go online. I mean, there's a lot of information on the Federal Trade Commission's, the FTC's website,
And the Indiana.
Attorney General's office as well.
You can do it free.
Yeah,
Oh.
and it is all free. But what you can do is you can put a lock on your credit. And what that means is that if you have a lock on your credit, nobody can go out and apply for a credit card. They can't apply to go buy a car. They can't buy a house. They can't any major purchase. They cannot do it because you've got the lock on it. Now, the thing you need to remember is that if you decide to go out and you want to buy a car, like in a couple of years, you need to call and have the lock lifted, and you can specify the period for which you want that lock lifted, and then it'll reimpose it.
Yeah.
But you will need to have.
And you can also, go ahead.
They're not free. I've been in touch with all three of them.
Well, go on the Indiana Attorney
Yeah.
General's office. They have it all. They made it, Indiana was always free, but then now every state has it's called a credit freeze or security freeze.
I did that with Transcon, forgot my.
Oh,
my
no.
number.
Yeah.
That was a nightmare, but
Yeah.
I got through that.
Okay.
Suffice to say, you're absolutely right. You don't ever want to lose that.
Mm-mm.
And even if you have it, you gotta be careful.
Sometimes.
Yeah.
But you
But-
can also, if you're buying a car, you can ask them, which credit bureau do you use? So you only have to lift the one.
Oh, then only relieve. that
Yeah,
one,
yeah, and do it for.
Well, sometimes when you're buying a car, they pull multiple.
Well,
And so
they
this
do.
this will keep them maybe from doing that. Pull your credit multiple times.
Yeah.
What was the Indiana,
And
the
Just-
email address for that?
I just Google Indiana Attorney General.
Oh, Attorney
Cons-
General?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Consumer,
I think it's a consumer division.
Consumer division, yeah.
Sue had a question.
Well, I have a question and I have a comment. Supposedly you can have them check it once a year and that's free, but there's other things you can sign up and.
Maybe like add-ons.
But the other thing I was gonna, how many of you have done this? The
Like-
questions they ask to verify who you are.
Yeah.
Did you buy, like our question was, did you buy a car for a loan for so much from Foreign Credit Union in the year blank, blank, blank? And you're talking like 10 years ago, and you're
Yeah.
like,
I can't remember.
Yeah.
and I mean, they ask you the,
That's
To
how I
me,
got in trouble with Transcom.
Yes. and then
The
you're,
questions they ask, I don't remember.
Yes. so that's the only
Yeah.
hard part about it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Remembering your own history.
Yeah,
And
Well,
on
you
the-
could get like LifeLock too, like identity. It's not a lock on your credit, but what is that?
it's like an alert. I
Yeah,
think an alert system.
Anytime,
Yeah.
like there's any dark web or anytime you apply for a loan, or like I refinanced my house and it showed up as an alert through LifeLock. It's not free, but there's an annual fee
Yeah,
to it.
many people who've been victims, even if, like Target a few years ago had a breach in their data wall. And so anybody who had credit through Target, I think, had an opportunity to get like free credit monitoring for a period of time.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I actually, think about it, I work for the Internal Revenue Service. There are a few 100,000 employees that we have for the Treasury Department. But there was what we call an Office of Management Personnel,
OPM.
the OPM breach. I don't know, that was several
That
years
was
ago.
probably like 5 or 6 years ago.
About 5 or 6 years ago, but as a result, I mean, they got my information, my kids' information, because they had, all of their personnel stuff. So we got, and maybe that's how I didn't have to pay for anything, because that's when I went and did the block on my credit, but they had monitoring.
You can get your credit rating for free, but
Well,
you
yeah.
ask for the additional service, and it's a cash register.
Yeah, check out the India.
Yeah.
It's free. I've got it. And did my
I think-
husband's. It's not that hard, but you do have to have your,
Also, I think if you can
Information.
prove you've been a victim, like you were
Yeah.
part of the Target breach, you were part of the Blue Cross Blue Shield breach, OPM for the government. There's so many, I mean, I don't even know how many breaches there are a year. But if you can say you were a victim or you were part of that pool, you should be able to get it for free and get the lock for free.
Yeah.
Carol, you had a question?
Yeah, that happened to me. I worked for the federal government for 40 years. Federal Blue Cross Blue Shield got a breach, Office of Personnel Management. And because of my security clearance form.
Yeah.
They had my brother's information, my daughter's information.
Like everything.
my own Social Security, everything.
Yeah.
And yeah, they followed it, but then the contract with the company expired and then it just went away. So I figured it's gonna happen, whatever it is. But even with the federal government, it's not really safe.
Yeah.
And that's kind of scary.
Very
No, just realize your information's out there. It's on the
Yeah.
dark web. It can be attainable. I know, years ago when I was doing this presentation, it was told to me by someone that, the scammers they keep like a folder on you and they just keep building to it and adding pieces that they may get off of the dark web. And that's what they can use to open credit or to steal from you. But the best, we all have to be proactive on our part and do the prevention things. Lock your credit, freeze your credit, monitor your credit reports, as you say. You get one free a year per credit bureau, so you can stagger those and continue to monitor. So, again, I think it just comes back to being an advocate for yourself.
I did find one company that I'm very comfortable with. The slightest little thing on my credit, I get an email saying, check into that. I don't know about title insurance. I hear this in the radio a lot.
No, we had, Bill asked about that a couple months ago. So there's a commercial advertised campaign going around that you need to, like, people can steal your house,
Yes.
steal the title to your house. And we had attorneys and the title company both said, it would be very difficult. It would take multiple people, like you'd have to have a notary, like power of attorney, feel free, Miranda or Liz, to add anything onto that. But I think that is,
It's unscrupulous.
yeah,
So it's more a scare tactic.
Yeah.
Yeah. It scared me.
yeah.
Yeah, the scam is the people trying to get you to buy into that.
Yeah. Okay, so are there any other questions? I know we had a lot of hands raised. I didn't want to miss anyone. Any questions online? You guys are really quiet today, but I see you. Okay, so some of these questions we, covered. Why are seniors particularly vulnerable? If you want to add anything to that, and then maybe pair that with what questions can help identify a fraud or scam. Again, we've kind of covered some of these.
Yeah, I think, I'm a senior. We grew up running to the phone, right? I mean, it was like, even now with the cell phone, it's hard to put it down sometimes when you're getting messages. And when you're especially vulnerable, I had a call the other day, a woman was leaving the hospital, her husband was dying. I mean, we're all going through this kind of stuff. And she got a spam call that she normally wouldn't answer. And, she gave him her Medicare number. I mean, don't feel embarrassed. Just call me and we can report that. You can get a new number. Now, that's why they took the Social Security off the Medicare card. Finally, the government did something great after many years of complaining. So that's a good thing. So you can get a new number, Medicare number. But it's sometimes, and you can do it yourself by calling the 1-800 Medicare, but just call me. We can do a conference call if that happens to you. Because then the Medicare number is actually valuable. So try not to carry it unless you're going on a trip and going to a new doctor. I mean, if you're going to the same medical providers, they have it. So you don't need to carry it, even though price says on there you do. But did I answer the question? Now
I think so.
Okay.
One thing, just before I forget while it's in my head, somebody had mentioned the scammers are keeping a file on us and just adding data to it. I like documentaries. I watched another documentary on Netflix. I don't remember the name of it, but it was basically, they said data is more valuable now than oil.
Yeah. I say it's the commodity of the 21st century.
Yeah.
Information, all your information. Fortunately.
Yes. Okay, so I'm gonna just repeat this. We're kind of clumping together why are seniors particularly vulnerable and what questions can we help to identify a fraud or scam?
I just want to give you a little, I'm kind of going to repeat what Dustin and Kathy have already said, but if you get an email or a text, don't click on the link, don't open any attachment unless you're 100% sure it's something legitimate. And one of the things that you can look for, especially if like in an email address or even in a text, is if let's say a Citibank or somebody, if you normally see a Citibank and it has like a .com, maybe there's one letter that they misspell. And so, our eyes kind of read over that stuff. We kind of correct things, but pay special attention to every letter in that name of the website or who it indicates it's from. Because if you see something that's misspelled, that's an obvious tell.
Yeah.
And also, if you see something, if they say it's a not-for-profit or, you do things like, I give to World Central Kitchen, like on a regular basis, but I go directly to their website, make a contribution. That's anything that's a not-for-profit or charitable institution is normally going to have at the end of the email or the end of whatever, it's gonna say .org, O-R-G, because it's got special not-for-profit status through the Internal Revenue Service. If it's a university, let's say you give money to your alma mater, you donate money, at the back of that email address, it'll say .edu for educational institution, right? So if you see something that you think is supposed to be from a not-for-profit and it's got a .com at the back, it's not a not-for-profit, folks. It is not a not-for-profit. So just be really careful, you know, read what you're seeing and make sure you do not open an attachment or click on a link until you see it. And why are we vulnerable? Everybody's vulnerable because these scammers have made, like in 2021, they collected all that we know that's been reported so far is $5.8 billion.
Wow,
It's up 70% from 2020.
that's crazy.
So that's why they're in.
And I would comment, that's probably a fraction because
Yeah.
most people don't report
people
that they're a
don't,
victim.
right.
So I'll talk a little bit on fear of retaliation. They play on fear, and we've talked about this already. But the one thing they'll do, if they're calling you and they're wanting you to send money, wire money, buy that gift card, is they will, if you say, no, I'm not doing it, they will give you a description of your home, your vehicle, and they're, just so you guys know, most of the time the scammers are out of the country, but all they have to do is go to Google Maps. They can pull up your house, they know what color your door is, they know that you have an attached garage, they know what your house numbers look like. So don't let that intimidate you. That's where they're getting the information at. They're not around the corner staying at the hotel. They're not even in the general area. So just be aware of that. And then also be aware of, if you have friends, this is a very important topic to communicate with and discuss and be open about. A lot of people don't want to be open about if they were a victim because they're embarrassed by it. But also realize that some people will go through a natural cognitive decline. So their ability to rationalize like they could have 10 years ago, it diminishes. So if you have a friend and you're like, you never would have done that 10 years ago. Maybe they aren't thinking like they did 10 years ago. So just be aware of that as well. And I always have compassion when I go out and talk to my victims. Sometimes I don't understand how you continue to get victimized, but, and then I go back to the seminars I've set in on the cognitive decline and realize that they're just not where they were maybe 5 years ago.
Yeah.
This type of fraud has become so widespread. I wonder if anyone in the federal government is looking into things they could do. Like get a list of, oh, they're good. I'm glad to hear that.
Well, if you're on Facebook, follow the FTC blog. It's fantastic. It's the best. I mean,
FTC,
sorry.
Federal Trade Commission.
Follow
That's
our,
what we are.
but FTC, Federal Trade Commission,
Yeah.
they push out all the latest fraud. Knowledge is power. If you know that the grandparent scam or this, well, in my case, it would be genetic testing and a new Medicare card. If you know that's going around, you're going to be more prepared. But
Yeah.
FTC has a great blog. You can get the emails, or if you're on Facebook, they're on there.
Okay.
Thank you.
You have anything to add?
No, I mean, it was just, don't pay over the phone. There's really no bill you should pay over the phone. If you have an existing account, I would tell them to either mail it to you or go to their online portal or whatever, and pay the bill. But when paid over the phone, don't pay anything if you're not expecting an invoice. If you get an invoice or bill that shows up and you're not expecting it, don't pay it. I mean, my wife deals with her medical insurance, and I don't pay any of it. I just give it to her. I'm like, if they don't want it, don't send us another bill. And then do not pay with gift cards or,
Yeah.
like I said, I've never seen someone pay with a gift card that's legitimate. The only thing you should be doing with a gift card is giving it to a friend or family member for a birthday. But and even now, if you go to CVS and buy gift cards, you have to acknowledge some of the
Yeah.
Kroger, things like that. Or when you go buy gift cards, you have to acknowledge when you pay that, hey, it's a fraud alert, things like that. I think some of the retail staff are being more trained that if you come in buying 2 or 3 gift cards, making sure you're doing it to present as a gift at Christmas time, something like that, as opposed to, head to the post office, get them in the mail. So if you're getting a call you don't expect, I wouldn't pay it, especially if it's somewhere you've never had an account or invoice or something you're not expecting to get, and tell them about to you.
Yeah, they are at where you pay at like CVS. I bought a gift card and they ask you, is somebody forcing you to buy this? Or there's some kind of question you have to acknowledge that it's not a fraud thing. One thing I was going to say too, this can be fraud. Don't pay contractors who come and do work at your house until the work is done and you are satisfied with it. If they're asking you for a large portion up front, question that and also see if it's negotiable. If it's a legit company, I had my driveway done recently and I did a lot of research about what contractor I wanted to use. This contractor I used did a lot of driveways in our neighborhood, and I did have to put down, I can't remember, like 5 or 10% or something like that, but it was established up front. The payment schedule was established up front, but like if you're just having a handyman come in and maybe paint your house or landscaping or whatever it is, do not pay up front until you're happy with the work.
If you can interject, if they show up
If
without
they
you calling, that's normally a red flag.
Yeah.
If they
Yeah,
just happen to, hey, we're in the neighborhood doing roofs, or we're in the neighborhood doing seal coating on driveways, I got a bucket left. I'm not
Nope.
saying all seal coaters are bad, but I do all our fugitive stuff, and a lot of them do seal coating. So if they show up and you weren't expecting anyone, they said, hey, we've got a bucket of 5 gallons of seal coat, we'll knock out your driveway for $1,000. If you didn't ask them to come,
Yeah.
I wouldn't hire them that day. It's certainly someone you can look at and get some estimates for from competitors, but if they just show up and give you this great deal, probably gonna lose that one. Seal coating
yeah.
seems to be a big one, and then I've got friends in the roofing business, but roofers are
Yeah,
50-50 too.
I feel like
pest control, I was gonna say, yeah, pest
We
control.
actually had that at our house where a gentleman came and said, I'm providing pest control or control for your neighbor that lives right behind you and used them by name. Well, what he didn't know is the neighbor that lives behind me owns his own pest control.
That's funny.
Like, I don't think he's using
The
it.
Yeah.
Internet's the one the last couple of days up in Fisher's, Noblesville. I don't know so much about Carl. The internet, people have been out door to door selling, Verizon internet, things like that. So if you want to shop for internet service, go online.
directly
Compare.
to
Normally you get your better deals buying directly online anyway than you do. Most of these people, like I said, I don't want to stereotype, but if they show up in a beater car, going door to door selling internet.
Or if they're on one of those, we had this, so I was gonna say, if you're in a neighborhood and you have a Facebook group, get on there and pay attention to it, because in our neighborhood, people will like alert and they'll say pest control solicitor on, and they'll name like the street, just saw him, whatever. And, but this guy has been coming around our neighborhood, and I saw him in another neighborhood too, on one of those calls. A Segway, yes, yeah. He didn't even have the energy to walk for his scams or whatever, he was on a Segway. But yeah, you were.
Feel free to, like I said, call wherever you live, local police, they can come check them out. I live in Indianapolis.
Non-emergency number.
They're a little busy, but call, we'll check them out. Some of the towns and cities they're supposed to have a solicitor permit. It's more of an administrative, but we can at least check them out, see who they are, get their information. So if there is a problem, and a lot of times people that are doing burglaries and stuff will do that, and then that way they know who's home. They get to know the neighborhood, who's home, who's not home. It's common, they'll knock the front door, and if no one answers, they'll go around back and kick it in and do that. So I'm sure there's some good door to door, but the ones we deal with are all bad. So I would send them on their way, and feel free to call and just have us check them out.
Okay, I saw Carol, and then we'll go this way.
Ask you how to approach this. I live in Carmel, and you're supposed to have registered with the city. And they say if they don't have one, challenge them. to me, that's very scary. I don't even know what the city, tag would look like. So do you just suggest not
I
challenging
would just
them?
call the Carmel police and let them know. I mean, they're normally in the neighborhood for, hitting every house. So I would just call the police, have them come out. They'll know what to look for. They'll know, they can show you anything and say that's their permit. Carmel will know and know how to verify that number.
Don't,
They're so aggressive. They
don't answer the door.
I wouldn't answer
Don't
the
answer
door.
the phone. I mean, it's like, I say picking up the phone anymore is like picking up a hitchhiker.
And I wouldn't worry if they see you
You
inside.
really don't know who it
Yeah,
is.
if they look in the window and see
Same
you,
thing
you
with-
can wave to them and not answer the door.
Yeah,
They'll obligate you to answer the door like
yeah, you
I do
don't
all the
be,
time.
yeah.
I'm like,
I'm a little more rude. I just
That's-
don't believe.
Yeah.
I show them the way.
Yeah,
tell them
you
to
don't-
go. So don't
I
feel
mean-
like you have to answer the door just because they
Yeah.
see you or hear you or something like that. And I would call the non-emergency number, they'll have someone come out and check them out.
My stores were there, my little dog is attacking the door.
Right.
Don't
You have
get the message
permission to
earlier.
be rude, and just,
But I think your idea is the best, so you're.
yeah, if you want to do that. As long as that door's locked. Yeah.
Okay, Carol, and then I saw your hand, and then we'll go back here, and then we'll go here.
I have a related question. A few years ago in Carmel, you had to have a permit, a badge, you didn't wear it. I haven't seen that in recent years. I wonder if they dropped that during. That was such a relief if somebody didn't have their permit. I just tell anybody that comes door to door, you don't have a badge. I'm sorry, I can't. do it.
I have a really big German Shepherd that barks loudly. That's my security system. Nobody wants anything to do with that. Okay, I'm sorry, remind me your name. Carl, yes, sorry.
I have a question for the lieutenant. I just wondered what you think about these alarm systems where somebody breaks into your house and automatically calls the police. Do you think those are good or your opinion on those?
Yeah, if you've got the money where you can do it, cameras are also best. Any more of those Ring doorbell cameras that
Yeah.
are down to for 100, 125 bucks anymore, but I always told people it's great to have an alarm, at least that way we know what time your house got broken into. But if you can get a camera, we've got good pictures of them. Whether you know it or not, it's somewhat controversial, but we have a lot of license plate recognition cameras in this area that takes pictures of public roads and cars go by. So if we can get a picture of who is at your house for a video, that's a lot more beneficial. A lot of times that's wrapped in with a video or a security system. But if you don't want to pay that, my mom just built a condo. We didn't have her pay for the monitoring service. It just does a loud audible alarm.
Yeah.
It was a ring system. I installed it. It's pretty easy. But if you can get even just a doorbell camera, they're so cheap anymore. You just connect to the internet. But you can set those up where it gives you a text alert if someone's there, or you can send an alert. You can let friends in. But if you have the money to do it, cameras by far, that's the best that helps us. If we can get a picture of them and then an idea of the car, not to scare you, Carmel's probably got 35 of these license plate reader systems up. A little controversial is, if you're not doing anything, you're being followed, but it drops off in 30 days. But if you watch the news, Moyer Jewelers got hit yesterday around 5. They thought it was armed robbery. Ended up 3 guys came in a mask and smashed all the counters and took the jewelry. Well, obviously the people were still scared as hell because they thought they were getting robbed. Within 10 minutes, they had a photo of the actual vehicle that was used that they were pushing out.
Wow.
To look, and they have the car now. I don't know if they have the suspects, but they've got the car. So certainly don't want to invade anyone's privacy, but when something like that happens,
They're useful.
we're trying to use technology to, focus on what we need. Believe me, if you go to Kroger every day at 11 o'clock, I could care less. I got enough other people I need to try to find, so I could care less what you do every day unless you're one of the files on my desk. But I would encourage you, if you have the means, a video system, whether it be just the doorbell, a couple cameras, if you put one in front, one in back. That's what we did at my mom's, and it's just an audible. She hasn't paid the monthly, but it's a very loud audible system that sends a text to her phone and things like that. That should be enough to, in a condo community that several folks are going to know.
Yeah, Stacy, you want our sponsor with ClearCaptions?
Yeah, so there's something to be said about being able to hear the doorbell. if you can't hear the doorbell or you don't hear a phone ring, you're kind of setting yourself up to possibly be broken into, because they don't know you're home and they will case your house and come around the same time and ring the doorbells and knock on the door. And if you can't hear that, they can pop in on you, because they've done that in our neighborhood, and we all watch out for each other. So there are things you can get to help save yourself that headache. Like when they press the doorbell, your lights will blink on and off. These are very inexpensive. Sometimes you can get them for free, so you are safe in your own home. So if you have hearing loss, please come talk to me. I'll be here after I'm actually here today. And I'll be happy to direct you to get some of these safety features for your home.
Yeah, Stacy is the one that makes our big baskets that we give away at the end. And yeah, she's usually running around installing phones for people. You're here today. So, okay. Yes, ma'am.
I was scammed. Somebody tried to scam me last month for $50,000. And they were slick, and this guy was slick. And I'm a well-educated person, and I was falling for it. But what got me going was anger. I was just furious. And so that's how he got me. I kept getting this email: your Norton antivirus is about to expire. And I delete, because I mean, I don't want it. And then at one point they said, it'll only be $555 for 10 years. No, delete. I said, I'd probably get it cheaper someplace. So I keep deleting it. And then one day I get the email: your account has been charged $555 for 10 years. And I was furious. But you can't do that. So I got a hold of it. And
Did you check your bank account before you did that, or did you just go right to?
No, I keep my bank. I keep track every day practically. So I know what I've got in. I didn't have any $50,000. What this guy had done after I gave him my bank account number was to get into my account. He put $50,000 into my home equity line of credit, unbeknownst to me. So at any rate, I finally let my suspicions get the best of me. I hung up and ran to the bank. And so fortunately, everything is taken. I had to get a new bank account, but everything is taken care of, and I have lost $50,000. But I was supposed to send it, and this guy must have thought I was going to send all this money to this account that he gave me all these numbers, all these digits. And the vice president of the bank helped me. He said, that's an offshore account. You never get your money back.
We normally recommend too, if you don't pay with cash, which is hard to do a lot of places now, but try to use credit card when you pay. Anything you use your debit card for, keep in mind that's going to be tied to your bank account, PayPal, Venmo, things like that. So if you can use your credit card, generally your credit card company gives you a little bit better protection or forgiveness when a fraud happens. But if you use your bank card to go to the grocery and things like that, normally your bank account, if you overdraw your checking, then your savings is automatically going to, your bank will automatically pull out of savings or your money market. So if you can use your credit card and then just obviously try to pay it off every month. But normally you have better protection for you using a credit card over a debit card, and then your debit card is going to be tied to your bank where your credit card typically is not. So
also, this guy had a big, steep Indian accent. Indian. I mean, no offense, but yeah, he had an Indian, and then somebody else tried to scam me not too much later on than that. Indian accent again. So I said, any more Indian accent? Click. I'm not talking to anybody.
One thing I heard her say is she was angry, and I like they play on your emotions because we make decisions from our emotions, even though our emotions are not always reliable. So if you're feeling like extreme anger or fear or any kind of like extreme feeling, that would be a cue to like somebody said up here, stop and pause and slow down and figure it out. Yeah. Okay, we're almost to the end. I want to leave time for open questions and then, so I'm going to ask the panelists just give your best piece of advice that you can tell our online and in-person audience, and then we'll open it up for general questions and do some giveaways. You have the mic.
I just had two written down on the sheet you guys gave us. Any call for money, just verify. So if you get a call you're not expecting, it's for money, whether it be from someone saying it's a grandson, saying their sheriff's office, please verify, hang up, call that person direct, call Duke Energy Direct or Citizens Direct or Verizon or whoever it is, and verify that it's an actual bill that you owe. And then just try not to carry multiple credit cards. Like I said, whether you lose it, whether it gets stolen, misplaced, if you can only carry the one or two that you need with you, obviously if you're traveling, you want to take a couple with you, in case there's an issue, but I would try not to carry everything in your pocketbook or your wallet. Try to leave some at home that you don't use on a daily basis. So that's all I have. You folks are all to the point where you've worked hard to get where you're at, and we certainly want to see you enjoy, what you saved and worked for, and not someone in Asia. So, just please be careful with that, because don't want to see you get swindled out of, like I said, $70,000, $80,000 in a matter of 2 or 3 days. That would be devastating for retirement. So,
yeah.
I think for me, and I've said this for years, if it's too good to be true, it's too good to be true. And go with your gut instinct on that. If something doesn't feel right, question it. And then the other thing would be if you're a victim, report it. You said you were taken for almost $50,000, but still you have valuable information that may lead to something. And I think the best place to report it, you can always go to your local PD, but we've said FTC numerous times. I will go there and look for complaints if I'm building an investigation, and I know we all use them. So they're invaluable to us. So those would be my 2 pieces.
FTC.
Most people have already indicated what I would think the biggest issues are. One thing this is just a little tip, and it's not really about being scammed per se, but if somebody does take your wallet, I mean, I don't know about you, but have you looked at your wallet recently? Do you know exactly which cards and what information is in there? So one of the things that I have been taught to do, and I'm just going to pass it along to you, is that maybe what you should try to do is, we all have phones that can take pictures. So you want to maybe take all the information out of your wallet and take pictures of them front and back, so that if you do lose your information, at least you'll know who to contact. Like on the back of a lot of your cards, they'll say, if something's been stolen, call this number. Well, if it's been stolen, how do you know what that number is? So just so you know what you've lost, because some people put things in their wallet and they forget that's what's there. And you may forget that you need to contact that particular group or company to make sure that they, you can put a stop to things.
Yes, sir.
A good point. I had the operation. I went to an aftercare facility.
Mhm.
Thought, I better keep my wallet. They're going to ask the social security number and all that. Nothing was stolen, but somebody had a record of all of my charge cards that were in my wallet, in the locker, in my room at the aftercare. So don't even trust that service.
Right. Yeah. So like I said, that's just a tip I would give you. I think it's worked for me and everybody I know. So I just wanted to let you know that. The other thing is that I've provided some handouts to people that I really haven't been referring to so much, but there's information that you've got either online for those of you who are virtual, and those of you here in person, about the 12, we call them the dirty dozen, some of the scams. And there's also information in those handouts about who to contact if you are getting these emails or phishing schemes. And there is some information that'll take you to the FTC website as well, because as Kathy said, all of our organizations partner with the Federal Trade Commission because they are kind of the gold standard where it comes to this kind of issue. So.
Yeah. Well, in terms of Medicare fraud, I think one of the best things to do is set up a Medicare.gov, and like Kate was saying, make sure the URL has .gov at the end, not .com, because that's a fake site. But you can, if you're on original Medicare, you can set up like you do probably have for Social Security. Or if you can't do it, have a trusted family member do it. That way you can keep track of your, claims and see if there's any fraudulent claims coming across. Because Medicare only mails those once a quarter or something. So this, you can do it in almost real time. And then just like they said, I do have some materials up front by the food, and I've got some carabiners, little giveaway if anybody wants one of those, but it's just be wary, unfortunately. That's
Yeah.
don't trust, it's the opposite of what you should do with your relationships.
Phil?
What, I've heard something in the newscast, off and on lately. What is a skimmer?
Skimmer. What is a skimmer?
Skimmer is, so you think of like a gas station where you put your card in, or the ATM where you put your card in. Skimmer is basically a clone device. So when you put your card in, you think you're putting it in the gas pump or the ATM, and it basically reads your card digitally to acquire that information. So it clones it, and then it would send it presumably by Wi-Fi or something like that to someone that's collecting. So pull your card data, expiration date, things generally that you need to make a purchase with a card.
That three number
Digit.
code.
So we see a lot of gas stations.
How do we know that there's a skimmer?
Generally, when you look at it, it's going to feel a little different because they'll pull the other one out, put this one in. So if you feels loose, it's common that they'll sit within range of it due to either Bluetooth or something like that. So if you see someone parked, on the side of the gas station that seems to be really interested, but generally you're going to feel that when you stick it in, that it feels a little loose and it won't.
I go in, but this was a case of somebody going in the actual establishment using that,
Yeah, that's, like I said, you don't want to point fingers in the business, but someone who works at McDonald's or Wendy's, when you stick your hand in the drive-thru or whatever, could slide your card on one, when you don't know what they're doing, they can slide yours there and slide it at the Wendy's one and you wouldn't know. So the biggest thing to do would be, I might refer to the panel here, but watch your charges. I mean, my wife thinks I am OCD, but I go to our bank account and our credit card every day. It's like, did you order something from here? But those charges can show up pending. So if you see charges that aren't yours or significant others on there, call right away and cancel it. Said she's on me all the time. I'm like, do you spend $200 on this? She's like, yeah. And I'm like, okay.
You can
She's like, I
set
can
up,
never buy you anything for a present because you'll know. And I'm like, no. Yeah, but, keep an eye on that statement because you're going to see, once you guys slide that card, normally it hits your pending charge within a matter of minutes.
Yeah.
And try to use your chip or the tap function.
Yeah, anymore you can tap. If you have the chip card, you can tap and things like that because then you're not actually inserting it or sliding it. But a lot of gas stations are vulnerable because one, the pumps are out away from the store, so the people can get in and out pretty easy. And there's really no gas stations anymore where you can pay cash. Normally you either have to go in and prepay, which if you're filling up your car, you don't know what's going to cost anymore. It's $100, but you can't, fill up the pump and fill it up and go in and pay anymore. They pretty much all make you prepay because they, got ripped off so many times.
Yeah. Okay, Sarah put the online feedback form for those of you who are online. And then just some reminders. What did I say here? Okay, feedback. The feedback forms that you have there in person, we love to get those from you. We do read them. Some of you may have received an email from me because I've been going through the feedback forms and sending just an email based on what you put on there. So you'll get those. For RSVP, there's a spot on the feedback form in person that you can RSVP for the next event. If you don't mind just putting the date there, because I don't think we have the date on those feedback forms. Or you can always call the 317-731-2289 telephone number, 317-731-2289, or visit downsizingindy.com to RSVP and tell your friends. This is a good crowd. I knew it would be because it's such a popular topic. So we do it every year, and we couldn't thank you guys enough. We couldn't do the panel on fraud if it wasn't for our panelists, and we couldn't do the event again without our sponsors. So please make sure that you go visit their spots there. They've got a lot of giveaways and candy and information for you there too. And then, yes, you did receive lots of pamphlets and information. And if you didn't get it online and you're interested, feel free to email us and we'll send that out to you personally. So
If you need
And-
without, there's some
Oh, yeah.
stuff up here, like if you want to take an extra pamphlet to a friend or something, there's a few extra things that if you're interested.
all righty.
And just in case you didn't know, today is Lisa's birthday.
I knew she was gonna say that. I get a round of applause. You're getting older. My mom, I knew she was gonna tell everybody. All right, so
job, right?
we're gonna give away Stacy's basket, and we're so happy she's here in person to present it to one lucky winner, Sandy Farrell. Yes, there you go. See? Okay. Okay, yeah, and then panels to draw. We've got a few flowers from Eagledale Florist, who's also here with us today too. And we always say these flowers last forever. I don't know where they get them or what they do to them, but they last forever. So if you've got somebody you want to take a gift to, it would make a great gift. So go ahead. If you draw them.
Oh, okay.
Trish Riedel. How do I say that? How do I say your last name? Riedel. Okay, I see it all the time, and I'm like, I don't know how to say
You
that.
don't put it back in.
No. Okay. Nancy Hexamer. I think they just left. Yeah. Did she hear me? Come back.
Yeah, I think she won one last time.
She did.
He said that's okay.
Okay, Joe Gardner. Yes. Okay.
My birthday was yesterday.
Oh, happy birthday, neighbor. Okay.
Go ahead and let me draw another one.
Okay.
Mike Mackey. Where's Mike? Oh, yeah, okay, good. It's so nice to put names with faces because I see your guys on email and feedback forms and everything. And Steve McEwen left.
Okay.
Yeah, he did.
All right.
So one more. One more. All right. Francine Williams. All righty. There you go. So if you're online, again, fill out the link there for feedback. And thank you, everyone, for showing up in person and online. Be sure to register for next month. Is next month the trip one? Or I had it up here. Let me see.
Preparing for
I had a slide that had them all too. I don't remember. Let's go to it. Oh, here it is. It is next month is August 11th. Yeah, care and education for the caregiver. Yes, care and education for the caregiver. So be sure to RSVP for that and invite friends.